Good afternoon and thank you for joining me. My name is Master Batiste. I am the Tai Chi Wellness Instructor at Riverside Hospital in Gloucester, Virginia. And today I'm going to be talking to you about the benefits to be gained from practicing Tai Chi. Tai Chi is a well-known martial art. More people practice Tai Chi than all other martial arts combined. It was invented by a senior for the needs of seniors. But what exactly are the benefits of doing Tai Chi? First and foremost, Tai Chi is not an exercise program. It is a wellness program. The difference is when you do an exercise program, you're normally thinking of trying to improve your body physically. You want to have muscle development, muscle sculpting, muscle growth. When you're doing a wellness program, you're taking better care of yourself. Now, as to the benefits, Tai Chi benefits fall into three categories. There's the physical, there's the internal, and then there's the mental. Let's take a look at them one at a time. As far as the physical benefits are concerned, when you see someone performing Tai Chi, you notice that they move their arms and legs in smooth, flowing, graceful movements. These moves are designed to increase blood flow and circulation. Blood carries hormones, chemicals, and oxygen. Oxygen is to the muscle what gasoline is to a car. It's a source of fuel, energy. And so it's not unreasonable after doing a Tai Chi program to feel a lot more energized. Okay, the increase of blood flow also has a medical effect. What it does is it repairs damaged tissue. Also, when you see someone performing these flowing, smooth moves, they're not unlike giving yourself a massage. So if you were to go to a massage therapist, what you would see them do is to place their thumbs firmly in a muscle group, and then they would knead or work their way up through the muscle. Now, what this does is it stimulates the blood, it repairs damaged tissue, and it improves circulations. Well, when you're doing these hand movements and these leg movements, you're basically doing a similar thing. It's not quite the same because you don't have the force of pressure in the thumbs, but you do have the increased circulation and flow. So it is similar to giving yourself a massage. Tai Chi movements also release tension, and tension is a byproduct of stress, and stress is a killer. The difference is stress is mental and tension is physical. Tension is caused when the muscles tighten, and that causes veins and arteries to constrict and thicken. That makes it difficult for the heart to pump blood through the arteries. This could cause damage to the arteries, a stroke, or in severe cases, even a heart attack. So these soothing, fluid, flowing motions give you a semi-massage, and they also release and relax the tension out of the muscles. Okay, so if we move on to the second benefit, it would be the internal. Now we're talking about organs in general, and we exercise those with breathing. When you do deep breathing, there's a couple of things that happen. First is that it stimulates, invigorates, and massages the organs, and that has a tendency to prolong their life. The second thing is deep breathing scientifically has been proven to reduce stress. Now, stress is caused when there is a perceived threat of danger or you get anxious. There's a lot of anxiety. Um, and what happens is you have what's called a vagus nerve. That nerve is slightly to the rear and the base of your neck. And that nerve sends a message down your spine to the autonomic nerve centers. There are three nerve centers that make up the autonomic nerves. They are the sympathetic, the parasympathetic, and the enteric. So when there is a perceived threat, the sympathetic nerves kick in. The sympathetic nerves are your organs. Things like your liver, your spleen, your pancreas, your digestive system, your intestines, your eyes, your heart. Those things get accelerated and allow you a kind of a fight or flight instinct. Now, if they are stimulated too long, that can be damaging to the organs. And so you can counter that sympathetic effect with a parasympathetic effect. That is to say, when you do deep breathing, specifically, if you exhale longer than you inhale, you counter that fight or flight. And you send the message to your brain that everything is calm, the danger is over. All right, so that's one way that deep breathing helps. Another way that deep breathing helps is it will improve blood pressure. Blood pressure is exactly what it sounds like. It is the pressure of blood as it is trying to be pumped through the artery. Now, when you're thinking about blood pressure, normal healthy pressure is 120/80. You have systolic and diastolic. The systolic is when the heart is pumped. The diastolic is when the heart draws or condenses. So it draws and then it pumps, draws and then it pumps. Now, when there's too much blood in the pumping action, that is when the blood pressure starts to increase. So let's say I have a 120 and then I have 80. On a healthy heart, the blood is pushed through the vein or artery nice and smooth. But when I begin to have high blood pressure, then it's like having two fingers trying to squeeze through that artery. And hypertension, that is to the extreme, is when you have 3 or 4 fingers trying to squeeze through that artery. You can easily see the potential for damage to the artery, a stroke, or a heart attack. Now, when you do the deep breathing, it counters the force of blood. And remember, you're exhaling twice as long as you are inhaling, and that will counter the pressure. Okay, so now let's move to another positive benefit of breathing. When you're doing deep breathing, it aerates the brain. It oxygenates, sends oxygen to the brain, and it allows the brain to have greater clarity and mental acuity. All right, so now we're going to move to the last benefit, and that is mental. And when you're thinking about the brain or exercising the brain activity falls into two categories. The first is cognitive. The second is mental. Cognitive are things like multitasking, decision-making, time management. And mental are more on the emotional side. Things like depression, hardship, those kinds of things, relationships. Okay, so when you're doing Tai Chi, there are two mental forms of meditation. One is visualization. When you visualize, you enact something in the brain called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is when the brain replicates neurons. Now, neurons are important for activity, imagery, and for memory, which is very, very important as you get older. Older people tend to lose their memory. And so when you use visualization as a part of your exercise program or a part of your wellness program, and you are replicating those neurons, you are putting in action a way to increase your memory. Now, the next thing is the mental. And the mental is when you relieve the brain of too much stress. Stress is a silent killer. And the way I explain stress is this. If you were to get into a car and you would drive that car at 100 miles an hour from the East Coast to the West Coast without stopping, at the very least, when you get there, you're going to need a tune-up. Why? Because you have the accelerated rate of those pistons, those electrodes, or spark plugs. Everything's firing, or everything's going at an accelerated rate. And you've got burnout. And so what that car is going to need at very least is a tune-up. And when you stress, it is exactly the same thing, because we are just like a vehicle. If you think about it, your arms and legs are like wheels, your eyes are like a windshield, and your brain is like an engine. And when you do too much stress, I'm about to get a divorce, I lost my job, I can't make the rent, my kid just got locked up. All of these things in our daily lives. You go out to go to work and the car has a flat. Those kinds of things, right? Too much stress can be disastrous on the brain. And so learning to meditate calms the brain down. Now, in my class, we do mindful meditation. Mindful meditation is paying attention to things that are happening in the moment without judgment or interpretation. So as my students flow through the moves, I ask them to pay attention to the details of the move. When they do that, they block out the noise of destructive thoughts. Okay, so I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.